Hello, sir. Sir, I've wondered, since I was a kid, about illegal uh, immigration. Uh, I've wondered about why why it was that our authorities that they weren't enforcing our laws, because I never saw that ever happen to our fellow Americans who employ illegally employ undocumented illegal aliens, illegal peoples. I mean, people's illegal being here. That's what I'm saying. I never saw that. I've never seen that. And I've worked in and around people that were here, illegally, and people that hired them. As many times I've been in situations where I've worked with folks that were here, people that were here illegally, and the employers, it wasn't, nothing was ever done. And I worked around fellow Americans that were so irritated and, by the fact that our government, state, and federal authorities were willfully ignorant, would give immunity to those employers, to our fellow Americans who were breaking the law. Man, I had a friend that was really, he did as much as he could at one point to try to do something about it, and it backfired on him. So it's something that I don't see how anyone. Well, I do see there's this like phenomenon which I don't know what it's called in sociology, whereas people, they're afraid to say anything, so then they feign ignorance. They're willfully ignorant, and that would be our fellow Americans who are all on board with whatever policy that is like right now, this deportation industry, whereas there is the obvious, that there are laws that are already on the books that could be enforced that would take care of much of the problem that we have. I can only guess at what it is. Well, conjecture. I don't want to be a guess, but conjecture. I'm pretty sure that it's because so many people who illegally employ undocumented illegal aliens, they give to authorities, politicians. They help them to get elected. Their campaigns they contribute to. They help them to get elected. So then there's that quid pro quo. Is that what it's called? I don't use that term. Just, they're owed, they're owned. Those politicians, the authorities, then, they won't go after those people that help to get them elected. But even for whatever towns, cities, areas in our country, in our nation, where there seems like there's sanctuary given to illegal aliens, undocumented workers, peoples that are here illegally. Well, there are federal laws that are already in place, aren't there? Whereas those employers, our state and federal authorities could have them fined, at least, could have them arrested, could do things that would affect their income, their livelihood, if they don't comply, obey our laws, is what I'm saying. Now I would guess that there is a way of doing it, whereas many of these people are fellow Americans, sir, that are illegally employing illegal aliens, undocumented workers. It's known, isn't it, who many of them are, and you wouldn't even need to have boots on the ground where they are. I would think you could send them out, whatever it is, official notice, put them on notice that what they're doing is illegal, and tell them to stop. And then with the threat of fining them or even whatever it is, whatever penalty. I mean, I would guess that could be done. If our fellow Americans who are illegally employing undocumented illegal aliens, peoples that are here illegally, if they are put in a position by our authorities, whereas they are fined or the threat of imprisonment, whatever penalties for breaking the law, and then they tell the folks that they are employing illegally, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I would think that many of those that are here illegally, those peoples that are working for our criminal fellow Americans, that they would willfully self-deport because they wouldn't have a job, they wouldn't have any livelihood. So, I know that this is something that could be done, and I know that a lot of money has been appropriated for ICE, building up what is the largest law enforcement agency in our nation's history, right? That is what it will be when it comes to fruition with all of the money that's been appropriated to do so. But that could even be put a halt on that. And there is that possibility that employers, our fellow Americans who are breaking our laws, that you could collect even money from them, finding them. That'd be revenue, even to make some money that way, maybe. And there is also, I'm a disabled veteran, and I became this way by no fault of my own. And I didn't have, the type of job. I'm a 2-branch veteran, but I wasn't in a situation where every day I was put in harm's way, where I was in a situation where I could have a physical confrontation, something that, whereas physically I could be maimed or murdered, killed. And yet I ended up being injured by no fault of my own, and I had to have 2 spinal fusions from those injuries. That's just one thing that, 2 things that happened to me in the service. But I'm saying, what about all these ICE agents? What kind of injuries? What kind of injuries are we looking at with these people? And a lot of with mine, it was bad. I was young though, and I was able to, it was bad. Don't get me wrong. When you injure your spine, your intervertebral discs, what happens is that they degenerate, and over time, it's like, wow. So you'll have bouts. Anybody that has injured their back that way, they know that. But so a lot of these injuries that these ICE agents have, it's something that they will be filing for compensation for those injuries later on. And wow, how much money is that? How many injuries? How many people? What kind of money is that going to, be to take care of them? Because they will file for compensation. And there will be, many of them that are going to end up being disabled as well. Every time they're in a scrap with somebody, wrestling around and whatever the hell it is, what they're doing, the nature of their duty, their job, they're taking a pounding. That's just, I don't know if anyone has ever, tried to figure out what this is going to cost, later. What it's going to cost to take care of these folks. But if our fellow Americans who are employing undocumented illegal aliens, if they're our fellow Americans who are they're criminals, that's what they are, they're breaking our laws. If we crack down on them, there wouldn't be a need for building up, there wouldn't be a need to build up these forces, ICE, if we were to handle it, crack down on the laws that are already in the books, enforce the laws that we already have, state and federal laws, about people that are here illegally being given employment by our fellow Americans. You see the trap in it all. It's hard to even articulate because we are so programmed to just focus on the folks that are here illegally, but they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our greedy fellow Americans who have been luring them here and employing them illegally with impunity for decades. Decades, sir. Decades. For decades they've been doing this. So why not crack down on Why not crack down on all of them? I'm pretty sure that that our Homeland Security, ICE, whatever other agencies that are working within within this mission, this deportation industry, whatever. I'm just saying, sir, it's a moneymaker too, isn't it? It's true. That's just the way it is. The appropriations that are being made for it. I mean, it employs a lot of people and takes in quite a bit. What I'm saying, but that could be pinched off, and the money that's been appropriated for ICE, maybe it could be considered. Money could be used for public works. There's a lot that needs to be done. Infrastructure that is in need of repair. So much. I'm sure that it's daunting how much needs to be done, but that would help whatever money that is has already been allocated if it were to be pinched and then used for whatever public works projects that are essential, really necessary for our nation, different areas within our nation, our states. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and it could be used that way instead of all of this. What? I don't know what to call it because it's so unnecessary, sir. With what's happening right now. It's unnecessary. It doesn't have to be this way. There's the reality that, so many of these folks being given impunity, our fellow Americans. I'm saying for hiring, illegally employing, hiring undocumented illegal aliens now, peoples from where have you. It's been going on so long that the folks that they've been exploiting, to maximize their profits by not having to pay, the labor that they would have to, even minimum, pay our citizens. So many decades it's been going on now that there's roots, there's generations here that have been illegal. So that means that we need to have a path to citizenship for a lot of these people. Since our fellow Americans, they really look. If they wouldn't provide jobs for these people, they wouldn't be here. That's fact. That's the way it is. So if they didn't have the opportunity here that our fellow Americans provide, hiring them, giving them employment, they wouldn't be here. They surely wouldn't be lured here. The lure, that's the lure that our fellow Americans have been using. So we have to think about a way to give some of these people, many of these people, a path, a road to citizenship. And I think about, there's in the book of Acts, Paul, he tells someone who is questioning his citizenship in Rome, and he tells him that he was freeborn. He was a citizen of Rome. And, at that time you could buy your citizenship in Rome. And just like I have heard that you have made that there's a way that what was it, like $5 million? I'm just saying what it is. You have something in place. There's a program where someone could buy their citizenship. But why not think about these folks being able to purchase their citizenship? I don't think $5 million is I don't know what the price should be, sir. But consider what I don't know if that can be something. It's got to be something that everyone, be the same price. But whatever that price is that you would decide with others, you decide what is that, what should that price be. Well, it could be deducted from their wages, what have you, and if that's not something that would suffice to make it happen, facilitate this program that they could buy their citizenship. Well, when I served with folks that were they were provided their citizenship by serving in our military. Well, that was in 1983, but I do remember that. So, well, there are opportunities, I'm sure, for these folks in other areas within our government. Some jobs that they could work in service and could work that off. Then you could garner their wage. I'm saying, look, I'm sure that this could be done, and it could spare so many people so much heartache and so much. I mean, gosh, this is just horrible the way it is right now. Each and every case is horrible, but you could go ahead and commit to a new policy, a new way. I pray you consider doing so, sir. It would de-escalate everything right now. You wouldn't need to have such a heavy hand by activating our military or whatever it is that to bring about to squashing whatever protest, whatever resistance to the policy right now. But that's what I just said. I'm sure in Jesus' name is the answer. I'm sure it is, sir. And I'm asking, would you please consider that, because you are a reasonable man. You are a reasonable man, Mr. President. I know you are a reasonable man. And we could avoid. I'm talking about the impact this has on our citizens with what has happened just recently with that woman who was killed by that ICE agent. Well, sir, how many more of those incidents would we want? None, right? None. So, yes, there are people here that we want to weed out that have come into our nation illegally. But that's a very small minority, sir. Most of these folks that are here illegally, they stay out of trouble. They try not to have any attention brought to them. That's just the nature of being here illegal. So that's just the way it is. They stay out of trouble. I mean, it's just the way that they would have to be. They don't want the attention because, I mean, hell, they upset anyone. Someone could go ahead and arrange for them to be apprehended, deported. So they watch what the hell they're doing, sir. They're careful. It's just a minority of these illegals here that are troublesome. That's true what I'm saying, sir. And whatever special operations there are, sir, for apprehending those people that are here that are dangerous to our citizenry, well then, that's a good thing that you have those operations, that they're ongoing. But I pray you consider the fact that they are a minority, a very small minority, and our fellow Americans, they share in this problem. I'm saying those that have been employing people illegally, they are responsible for. They are responsible for what challenges we have right now when we're talking about deportation of anyone that's here illegally. So it's an uncomfortable perspective for a lot of people. So uncomfortable that you won't hear anybody talking about what it's, as you would say, the elephant in the room. Well, hell, we're talking about a team of elephants. I mean, it's really hard to believe this, how this phenomenon of sociological phenomenon, I don't even know if there's a name for it, where people are so afraid to say anything, even when the evidence is so obvious. Sorry, I'm not doing a better job at articulating. Oh, good Lord. Sir, I'm a disabled veteran, and I tell you in truth, I have suffered with dental problems for years. In double vision infections, abscesses in my jaw. I mean, serious health problems. Things that probably, contribute to, my diabetes and other health challenges I have. My teeth, I can't even get an antibiotic for a bodily infection from a tooth because as a disabled veteran, you have to have a 100% VA rating to have any dental care. And someone, every disabled veteran knows this. Anyway, that's why I have trouble articulating, because of my teeth. And, good Lord, if we can't pay for, antibiotics for our disabled veterans, all of them, from a tooth, then what the hell are we going to do with so many ICE, call them what? Law enforcement officers. How in the hell? Where's the money going to come from to pay for their antibiotics? I mean, I'm not bullshitting. I have been turned down that way. Serious infections, my teeth, 2 times in the past 2 years. Nursing teeth that are really bad. I've been waiting. I was told over 7 years ago, sir, that I needed hip replacement surgery. And they stalled it. The VA did. And it was like imperceptible. So insidious, I slowed down my activity so much. My metabolism dropped. Then I became so inactive that I became insulin dependent. Became a type 2 diabetic. Now my sugar is hard to manage. Now they're using that as an excuse. Over 7 years ago, they told me I needed hip replacement surgery. So how many years before that did I actually need it? But there's some real problems with our VA taking care of our disabled veterans. Where's all this money going to come from for these ICE agents, these law enforcement going down the road? It's something to seriously think about.